Welcome back to Director's Choice. John Wick is one of the most popular film franchises, and you'd be hard-pressed to find someone who hasn't at least heard of the movie franchise. All three movies in the franchise have pulled in over $500 million in movie tickets alone, so it's safe to say that the franchise is a successful and profitable one. So profitable that 2 more movies have already been confirmed to be coming to the franchise, and the 4th one drops next year. And Keanu Reeves, the lovable actor who plays John Wick? How can we not love him? Well, if you're a fan of Keanu Reeves and the John Wick franchise, you may wrongfully think you know everything there is to know about the movies and the character. But how much do you really know? We're betting not as much as you think. Sure, you know that the premise of the entire franchise is that John's puppy was killed cold-heartedly. But do you really know more than that? We doubt it. Well, this video is here to help you learn 1 or 2 more things about the John Wick franchise. Make sure that you watch until the very end, because the last one is quite unexpected. When the John Wick scriptwriter first wrote the script for the movie, it was titled Scorn, and not John Wick. So how on earth did the movie come to be titled John Wick, you may wonder? Well, the story behind it is a simple time, and it involves Keanu Reeves. You see, in interviews and other press rounds, Keanu Reeves would forget the title of the movie and instead refer to it by the name of the main character which he played. He did this so often that the producers and the distributing company, Lionsgate, decided to just go ahead with it. As you know, this decision worked out for them at the end of the day, as all 3 movies have been successes. An additional difference between the original script and the final movie is that the character of John Wick was written as a man in his 60s. We're glad they made the edits to the original scripts, because we just can't picture anyone else as John Wick, if not Keanu Reeves. If you had to take a guess, how many people would you say that our favorite assassin has killed so far in the 3 movies? 50? 100? 200? Well, you're wrong. Our dear Johnny has killed a staggering total of 299 people. That's a lot more than most people can brag about. And that number doesn't include the people he killed off-screen or before the events of John Wick. This means that his lifetime kills could be well over 500. Well, nobody can say Johnny doesn't work hard at what he does. In the first 2 movies alone, he killed 205 people, and 94 in John Wick Chapter 3 Parabellum. His highest kills are in Chapter 2, where he killed a record total of 128 people. His lowest kill count was in the first film, where he only killed 77 people. And here's another fun fact. Of his 299 kills in the 3 movies, 124 were gunshots. We all know that Johnny likes his guns. And in his defense, he never wanted to kill anybody. If only they'd left him and his cute dog alone, they would all be alive.
I lost everything. That dog was a final gift from my dying wife.
We have another guessing game for you. If you could guess how much time had passed between the events of the first film and the last, how long would you say? A few weeks? A few months? Half a year? Well, you'd be wrong, because all the events in the film take place in just over a week. The film starts with his wife's funeral, and the plot picks up when his dog gets killed. Between that time and John having all the assassins in New York after him, only 1 week has passed. Confused? Let us explain. The second film takes place 4 days after the events of the first film finally ended, and the third movie picks up exactly where the second one ended. While this may seem confusing because 5 years passed between the release of the first movie and the third, we did tell you that the time in the John Wick universe does work a little differently from ours. And you have to feel bad for John. He had his puppy killed, his house blown up, and had all the assassins in New York City after him in just 1 week, right after he lost his wife too. That's a lot to handle for anybody. And judging by the way the third film ended, things aren't about to get easier for Johnny anytime soon. Give the man some breathing space, please. The training sessions that Keanu Reeves had to go through were intense, and in some cases brutal. He performed 90% of his stunts as John Wick, which is nothing short of impressive, especially if you consider the fact that he is over 50 years old. He starts training for the movie about 5 months before shooting starts, and he trains every single day of those 5 months for at least 5 hours each day. That's a lot of work, training, and commitment. To put it in perspective, he trained for almost 1,000 hours in total for each movie. That puts it at almost 3,000 hours for all 3 movies. That's a lot of hours. He had to learn a lot of fighting techniques, including sword fighting, judo, Japanese jiu-jitsu, and Brazilian jiu-jitsu for the film. This is, of course, in addition to the gun skills that he had to learn. He had to learn how to unload and reload a gun in the blink of an eye because his character has impressive skills. He also had to learn how to perform his own stunts, like the impressive horse ride that we see in the 3rd film. In all, Keanu Reeves put a lot into the films. Here's an additional bit of trivia for you. The director of the John Wick movies, Chad Stahelski, used to be a big-time stunt performer. In fact, he was Keanu Reeves' stunt double in the 1999 mega-hit movie The Matrix. However, it's unclear whether or not he was a stunt double in the John Wick movies. We doubt that this happened because directing is a pretty time-consuming job, and we doubt that he would have managed to juggle both. All 3 John Wick movies had a lot of action involved, that's for sure. Between all the gunshots, car chases, breaking glass, and grunts, it was bound to get very loud on set. When shooting an action movie, the noise is part and parcel of the deal. But while shooting John Wick, this wasn't the case. While shooting on location in New York City, the producers and directors had to exercise caution when it came to staging shootouts and car chases. You see, the filming permit that was granted to the producers didn't allow for blank ammunition and also prohibited cars from speeding, even when the streets were blocked off. So we're sorry to burst your bubble, but all the muzzle flashes that you see were computer generated. This doesn't take away from the movie though. The action sequence is one of the best to ever grace our screens.
I'm not afraid of John Wick.
How good's your laundry?
No one's that good.
Alfie Allen plays the role of Yosef Tarasov in the first John Wick film. He's the jerk who kills John's puppy and steals his car. Alfie Allen is no stranger to playing jerk characters on screen. His most famous role is the character Theon Greyjoy in the mega-hit television series Game of Thrones. His character, Theon, turned out to be a jerk in that show, so we can conclude that Alfie Allen has some experience in playing a jerk. This worked out for him because he got the role based on his looks alone. Everybody who has watched John Wick definitely remembers the nightclub fight scene in the first movie. When the 3 movies are filled with super entertaining fight scenes, like the fight scene in Barada's Fortress and the horse ride chase in the 3rd film, the nightclub fight scene in the first film is definitely one that stands out. The scene starts with our beloved Johnny making stealthy moves in the nightclub, taking down his enemies one by one, before loudly making his presence known. Watching him make his way from the sauna to the upstairs dance club is nothing short of epic. But there's an interesting fact about the scene that you probably don't know. Keanu Reeves learned the entire Fight Club sequence in one day. In fact, he learned it on the day that the scene was filmed. And even with the short time he had, he still went ahead to give one of the best performances of the entire franchise. If this doesn't convince you that he's something of a genius and a super talented actor, then nothing will convince you. What makes this even more impressive is that Keanu Reeves had a fever of 104 degrees while filming this scene. Most of us can't even get out of bed with a fever that high, and Keanu Reeves not only shot a movie scene, but also nailed it. Our respect for this man just shot into the stratosphere. John Wick is one of the greatest action movies ever made, and there's no arguing about it. From the start of the grieving widower who loved his wife very much, to that of a man who is willing to kill as many people as possible to avenge his murdered puppy, to an assassin now on the run, there's no boring moment in the movies, and we're beyond excited for the release of the 4th and 5th movies. Are you as excited as we are about the upcoming movies? Which facts were you surprised to learn? Which ones did we leave out? Let us know in the comments. Take a look at this recent clip by Director's Choice, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications.